A new president, a new vice president. Now the work really begins. It's time to get back to some kind of normalcy, if that's at all possible. Let's celebrate your life this week. Good morning and welcome to Sunday Connection here at Unity Gresham. Well, we've been in the middle of a three-part series on celebrating your life. We took a break last week because of all the goings-on with the upcoming inauguration and all of that. Well, now that's behind us and we have a new president, a new vice president, very historic, first African-American, South Asian American woman to ever hold that office in the history of the United States. Good for her. And we're wishing them the absolute best. We want them to be successful. I actually wanted Donald Trump to be successful in the beginning. I don't like to wish failure on a president right from the start, right? So let's finish up our series today on celebrating your life. And at the end, I'll give you a review, but I've got the whole thing done on a PDF for you, so you'll have it all to look over for yourself. Keep it close. These are very, very important. And if you really want to celebrate your life, if you really want the abundance and the prosperity and the joy and the peace and the happiness, this is the way to do it, by celebrating your life. So let's do the final R's this week. First one is reducing your personal carbon footprint. Ooh, that's a biggie right now because President Biden has just gotten us back into the Paris Climate Accord. He stopped the Keystone Pipeline coming down from Alberta. Yeah, he's taking it seriously. Your footprint, and that means all kinds of stuff. It means don't throw trash. Don't throw things on the ground. Don't waste. You know what that means. Just reduce your personal carbon footprint on the planet. Rest in silence now and then. Now, I want to read this one right straight through for you because I really like this. Rest in silence now and then. Refresh your relationship with the source of all that is. Call it Spirit, call it God, call it the Lord, call it love, call it the universe, the great mother, nature, or call it the great mayonnaise. The name doesn't matter as much as the sincerity. Both prayer and meditation are powerful brain changers, not just woo-woo or esoteric religious practices. Daily meditation consciously and consistently reconnects you to the cosmos, to the planet and its creatures, and to the rest of humanity. Even an atheist can meditate. And number 3, remain upbeat, positive, enthusiastic, and optimistic. Sound like pie in the sky? Hardly. When you change your thinking, you change your life. And ultimately, you change your experience of the world. It takes practice, but you're up for it. So relax, reboot, and retrain. If necessary, regroup. It's not as difficult as it may appear. Only one thing stands in the way, and that's your habits. And one of the most persistent habits, as we talked about earlier, is self-pity. Release self-pity, and that may be the only change you actually have to make. As the saying goes, first you make your habits, and then your habits make you. Say goodbye to self-pity. Sure, it has served you, maybe served you well, but it has also kept you from stepping out, stepping up, and stepping lively. Time for it to take a less prominent place in the scheme of things, right? And finally, rejoice. Be grateful for this experience. You were called into being by a grand and loving universe, in potential from the moment of creation. You are stardust, old as time and as young as the moment. And now you know how to create a life of true joy. So you are fully equipped with all of the spiritual gifts and tools that you need to move through this life in a state of grace, in a state of joy, in a state of gratitude, and in a state of happiness. And I close this out with this wonderful quote from Michel de Montaigne from Complete Essays, And he says, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Isn't that wonderful? Now don't forget, I have all of these for you in the handout, but I just want to run through them very, very quickly to remind you exactly of what we have been through these last 3 weeks. I'm going to read them fast. You have them all in your handout. Just a quick reminder. First, recognize your own incredible beauty. Reclaim your personal power. Reevaluate your inner script and rewrite as needed. Respond to life rather than react. Release or at least reduce your fears. Regain your courage. Take calculated risks. Calculate it. Don't just jump into the fire. Remember that you came here to help the world become its best as well as yourself. Refuse to let the daily news run your life. Reduce your carbon footprint. Where did I do with it here? Reduce your carbon footprint on the planet. Rest in the silence now and then. Refresh your relationship with the source of all that is. Remain upbeat, positive, enthusiastic, and optimistic. And relax, reboot, retrain, and regroup if necessary. That sums it up. You know, that's the walk. That's the walk. When you are on the road to awakening, it's amazing and wonderful to take the words of the Buddha to heart when he says, each day pretend you are the only unenlightened being in the world, and let everything and everyone be your teacher. So, that closes out our series on celebrating your life, but it's really just the beginning. All right? Don't forget, we're having a gathering here Sunday, January 24th. That's why I'm sending this out a day early. If you can be here with us, please do so. 10:30 a.m., we're all masked and socially distanced. Namaste. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now stay tuned for a very special closing meditation. Us, you and I, an awakening meditation. We just went through a historic election. No matter where you stand on the issues or which candidate you supported, this election year was like no other. The first African American and South Asian American and a woman was just inaugurated as our vice president. This election has elicited more attention and has drawn the highest number of votes ever cast in a U.S. presidential race. And with all this, some old wounds have reopened, like racism and sexism. But the more interesting development is, not nearly as much of those two uglies have shown themselves as was expected. Even though the recent attack on the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. makes it seem like we have a long way to go. And we do. But although to some it may seem imperceptible, nonetheless, we as a nation, as a people, are changing. Most of us now realize that all those other people out there, the different races, nationalities, the LGBTQ folk, Catholics, Mormons, Muslims, evangelicals, and all the rest, are more like us than we may have considered. So at this point, I offer you a little spiritual exercise. It will only take a moment. Participate, if you will, by selecting within your mind the one person or one group that scares you or annoys you the most. That can include past presidents. Be fully honest with yourself. If you say no one, I would look again. When you have made your choice, take the following words into your heart. See how they feel, how they mix with your current opinions and biases. Got that picture of them? Good. Listen closely. Just like me, this person or group seeks a measure of happiness in their lives. Just like me, they want the best for their children. Just like me, they often struggle with inner demons that cause them to do things that look very ominous to me. Just like me, they have doubts about their own abilities, their own worthiness. Just like me, they cry once in a while when they're alone. Just like me, they are afraid they won't be able to live up to what's expected of them. And just like me, they have dreams, they have aspirations, they have hopes. When I take the time to look, really look, and listen closely, I discover that each of those people who scare me or annoy me or never seem to care about anyone but themselves or appear so different are actually just as scared, annoyed, and self-doubting as everyone else. And they want the best for themselves, their families, their communities, their world. In spite of the many obstacles they face, the criticism they endure, the pain they suffer, they're doing what they must do to live their lives in the best ways possible. Just like me. And so it is.